Hello and welcome to Mark Omer Studio on YouTube, and we'll be looking at a piece I did on Twitch under my stream name Draw Me Face. Now, Gutzon Borglum was the artist and mastermind behind Mount Rushmore. So if you look into the history of Mount Rushmore, you'll see that it wasn't without controversy and trials and all kinds of things. But in the end, he was an artist. And he had a dream, and he wanted to create that sculpture. So, anyway, I had visited Mount Rushmore recently with my wife, and it was really neat as an artist to see what he had attempted to do. He actually didn't complete it. It was meant to be the whole bust, like from the waist up for all four characters. However, the faces did get done basically, and there it stands. So what we do is, as we're looking at the image, which is Gutzon over there, I've boxed it in. I'm using the whole square image as my measuring box. Usually I'll just box in just the face or the head or something I want to measure to. But this time we're using the whole box, and I have some anchor points on there. And then I have a few line divisions that I'm working into, just looking for some major division areas of value, lights and darks that I can work towards, and just block in the main big areas of light and dark. Once we get those going, then we can start drawing more specifics on the image. You want to start out though with the largest blocks of value that you can find, lights and darks. Find the dark side of the face and image, find the light side of the face and image, and then you can work into the more specific areas. On this, we're working in pretty quickly into the facial features because they carry a lot of the visual information that we want to focus on. The rest of it's kind of big and large, and we can bring in, but we have the whole thing measured. So now we go in, just start pushing around some lights and darks on the images, or the smaller images. And by images I mean we have lights and darks in the reference. It's too easy to get thinking about a nose or eyes, or the mouth, or the whole face and things like that. What we do is just go in and just keep looking at the shape of the lights and darks. So that's why at first we put down some big lights and darks for what's going on, and don't over worry like the smaller stuff at first. Because if you get too worried about the small stuff at first, you might need to move everything. I did this on a drawing the other day where I got quite a bit done, and I realized I had a huge proportion off. So I had to move like half of the face. Luckily I hadn't really pushed it too far. But I was able to move it over and get it corrected. But here we are going in pretty quick on the eyes, nose, and mouth, just to kind of pull these in, have these as reference to building what's around it. So that's why a lot of attention is going into that right now. Again, you want to dance around a little bit in the drawing, and in this one I just don't dance around too much. I mean, I have like the whole thing generally built, right? You can kind of see where the head is, the hat is, the arm reaching up. But otherwise, we're just kind of dancing around, getting things set, really more on the face right now. Like I say, usually I'll be dancing around a little more than that, like, go to the left, all quarters of the piece, to the left, to the right, top, bottom, edges of the whole image, and so forth. So you just keep cutting in on the lights and darks, whether it's by eraser or by charcoal. Just keep coming in, adding, subtracting, adding, and subtracting. I call it build and destroy. What I mean by that is usually I'll come in with the charcoal and overdraw a little area or a big area, and then I'll come in with the eraser and draw it back. Put the light back into it. Carve back the darks that I have going there. So once you do the big stuff, we're going in, doing the small stuff, just doing some adjustments there on the features. This is where likeness comes in, and you want to do a lot of measuring to make sure that the beginnings of something and the ends of something are in the right place. What I mean by that is I call it origination and termination. So like if the mouth starts at one point, a corner of the mouth, and goes across to another corner of the mouth, then you want to make sure those two corners are in the right place. And the pinch of the lips also is what I call the center of it. But you want to make sure the ends are in the right places, measure those really well, and then what goes in between is still important, but if you have a beginning and ending, originating and terminating in the right places, you're going to be okay. Going in with a little bit of dark here to find our darkest darks. So that's why we're pushing in some of these things into the eyes, into the corners of the eyes, into the nostril, into the corners of the mouth, and so forth. So we're actually, this is a little unusual. Usually I'll dance around the whole piece and get my darkest darks in, but again, we're working on this face to get it kind of honed in. Then we can start dancing around and work on everything else, and it'll fall into place pretty quickly. So now that I have those darks in those facial features, I can match those darks in the head, under the hat, and wherever they might be. This is kind of an interesting photo in that, at least how I've got it cropped in, there's not a lot going on lights and darks wise all throughout it, but that's the composition. So most of it's in the center here. The ear's an interesting feature. Ears need to be built correctly, but you don't want them taking any kind of a front stage pose on your piece. You just want them to be a non-distractor. So you want to build them and have them be there in support of the rest of it. So you do want them to be correct. You do need to take a little time, make sure you get the size, shape, and build of the ear right, but you don't need to over detail it or bring it any more forward than anything else. In fact, you want it to usually fall back attention wise or demand wise much more than anything else around it. Like, have it be less important than the face. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, building around the hat, we're getting some. Now in this we went ahead and posed in some darker darks in the background. So we want that face to pop. You can see in the reference that it doesn't have a lot of differentiation. So I'm doing a little more value against the light face, and of course leaving the back of the head dark against that light background. So we're playing with the background a little bit to make it work for us a little better. But with that face in place, and now with the hat and the head basically set, I want to make sure to get around, put a little visual information into the rest of it. We just have this drawn up sleeve that has a bunch of wrinkles in it. Not going after every single wrinkle, that's not necessary. What we're doing is going for the look of the pulled up wrinkled shirt. If you have a lot of time, then go for it. But again, you like the ear and other things. You don't want to get bogged down in too much detail of things that are secondary to the main focus. You just want to be there in a supporting role. And in the background, deciding to put in just a little gestural push on the fact he's working on a sculpture. And who knows, maybe in context nobody can tell in the end. But that's what's going on. So that's what we're doing. So just making some very general shapings, and just so something's there and hopefully not screaming out at us too loudly. But basically the other part of the drawing is done for now, and just do a few touch-ups as we go, and just finishing it out here. Thanks for being with me today on Mark Omer Studio at YouTube. And remember to check me out on Twitch under Draw Me Face. Thanks again. Bye-bye.